Tonight on CFTK-TV News, Ellis Ross and other BC MPs got an unwanted drug delivery to their offices, David Eby addressed the recent death of a young boy, and Donald Trump is once again back in court today.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Maslin, and here's what's making news in the Northwest and beyond for today. A petition that was initiated by the president of Transport Action Canada, Terrence Johnson, that is trying to get the federal government to fix Canada's passenger rail service has been sponsored by a BC MP. Taylor Bachrach, the representative for the Skeena-Bulkley Valley, has been very vocal in the recent past about the subject. Bachrach, who's also the NDP transport critic, recently tabled Bill C-371, a bill dedicated to improving that exact area. In particular, the bill aims to improve Via Rail's ability to reach its destination on time by giving priority to passenger trains on Canada's freight tracks. And after the bill's tabling, Bachrach went on to ride a Via train for 6 days while he traveled back from Ontario to Smithers in BC. The petition also brings up issues highlighted by passenger rail advocates from Unifor as well as Transport Action Canada. And keeping on the subject of Taylor Bachrach, he once again called on the federal government to extend the repayment and loan forgiveness deadline for businesses who got financial assistance during the pandemic. This call comes as many businesses are still trying to financially recover and regain stability. The deadline is on January 18th, and according to Restaurants Canada, around 4,000 restaurants or so across the country could go out of business if it isn't extended. Bachrach also not too long ago sponsored a loan regarding this subject and is hoping to get the deadline pushed back to the end of this year. In an attempt to try and increase enrollment for their French immersion program, the vice principal of Roosevelt Elementary School in Prince Rupert, Mike McDowell, went out of his way to try and dispel some myths about the program. Namely, he wanted to clarify that the program, starting in kindergarten, does not only apply to kids who have some kind of French background. This program's goal is to make students proficient in the French language by the time they head off to post-secondary school. One other touted major benefit of the program is that it's set to provide the base for students to learn other languages as well. A lot of BC MLAs got an unwelcome quote-unquote gift towards the end of last year, and the MLA for Skeena was not exempt. Not too long ago, Skeena MLA Ellis Ross went into his office during the holidays in order to make sure that everything was fine and to check out a few of his files. And while there, he noticed a Purolator package that ended up containing something that was very unexpected.
And so I opened it up, and it was a gram of magic mushrooms and a cocoa leaf. And it was basically advocating for mushrooms as well as, and I know what a cocoa leaf is. You know, you take it, you process it, you make cocaine. That's what you do.
Ross was one of a reported 87 MLAs who got sent such a package to their offices with illegal psilocybin mushrooms and a coca leaf by notable drug policy reform activist Dana Larson as what was called a gift, attempting to show their medicinal properties. Ross was quite shocked by the package, and once he discovered that many of his peers got the same delivery, he followed the recommendations of his team and went to the RCMP.
So I took it to the RCMP. They were just as shocked as I was. In fact, I'm going over there right after this, and I'm going to actually make a statement. But this is all I know. But we're becoming too desensitized to the topic of illicit drugs, and we're not controlling it. And I think this goes back to the idea of parents got to know what their children are doing or with some of the policies of the BC government, as well as we need an ad campaign to talk about how dangerous this stuff is and how easy it is to access now.
Ross also went on to say that while his party did not discuss an official stance on this incident, sending a package to him with illicit drugs would not be very likely to make him suddenly start supporting them. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. Coming up next, the Vancouver Police are employing a new method to attract new officers. Welcome back. The province is partnering with a Northern BC First Nation to expand care for young people facing addiction and mental health issues.
The province of British Columbia is committing $675,000 for engagement and consultations run by Lheidli First Nation to determine the services and the supports that are most needed and will ensure the most success for kids.
The engagement stems from a proposal by the Lheidli First Nation. It plans to build a center offering mental health and addiction services, neurocognitive assessments, as well as other wellness programs for children and youth in the region. Consultations will begin in the late spring. Premier David Eby is promising the public answers to questions triggered by the disturbing death of 6-year-old Dante Lucas. The Port Alberni boy died after being returned to the care of his mother and stepfather, who recently pled guilty to manslaughter. CTV's Michelle Bernoro has more.
He had a beautiful smile. He was really sweet.
Though it's been nearly 6 years since Dante Lucas died, one of his former foster moms still thinks of him often. She believes Child Services should have done more to protect him.
The very people that should be looking after him were not.
Dante was returned to the care of his birth mother, Reichel Frank. She, along with his stepfather, Mitchell Frank, pleaded guilty to manslaughter in November.
The system is broken, totally broken, and it needs to change so that our children are safe.
CTV News asked if the Premier would support a public inquiry.
For Dante's case, we'll ensure that British Columbians get the answers they need, and in particular that we have the information we need to prevent any similar deaths from taking place.
The representative for children and youth says while the case is before the courts, she can't do a public investigation, but she says a comprehensive review was done after Dante's death and confirmed Child Services was contacted about concerns in the home.
Community is right, the family's right. We need to make sure that the learning happens.
She says what happened to Dante will also be part of a systemic review triggered by the 2021 killing of an Indigenous Chilliwack boy at the hands of his foster parents. They were sentenced to 10 years prison last June.
So we're taking a look at multiple stories, seeing what those patterns and themes are, identifying what are the opportunities to affect change in a system to prevent the critical injuries or deaths of other children.
She says she's committed to doing further investigation if answers aren't found. Meanwhile, Rattan says during her 12 years as a foster parent, she saw other instances of children being wrongly returned to their parents.
This child was given back to the parents. Within 2 days, both of these parents died of drug abuses, leaving this little child.
She plans to raise her concerns when she meets with the children's representative this week. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Langley.
It's a move aimed at attracting experienced officers. The Vancouver Police Department is offering a $10,000 signing bonus, but as CTV's Martin McMahon reports, not everyone is convinced that it's a good idea.
From highlighting the adventure of the job to appealing to a sense of duty, the Vancouver Police Department has gotten creative over the years in trying to sign up the next generation of officers, as seen in these recruitment videos. But when it comes to attracting seasoned cops, the department is resorting to a more straightforward proposition: cold hard cash, specifically a $10,000 signing bonus.
Part of that ongoing recruiting effort is to offer incentives to people, and this is absolutely consistent with what other police agencies and other private corporations have done.
But not everybody's thrilled. Tom Stamatakis is the president of the Canadian Police Association, and in a social media post calls it a slap in the face to existing members. That position is shared by former Solicitor General and Police Chief Cash Heed.
Paying them a bonus to join is ridiculous. And I can tell you from discussions I've had today with police officers that are now serving in Vancouver, they are actually dumbfounded. This is going to be a real morale downer for the people that are working hard each and every shift in Vancouver.
As for the suggestion from Stamatakis this bonus could attract the wrong kind of person, the department points out just because an experienced officer applies, it doesn't mean they're getting the gig.
We hired 23 experienced officers in 2023. We had roughly 50 experienced officers apply. So we have a very detailed and thorough vetting process.
The VPD says it loses 50 to 75 officers each year due to retirements, and this bonus is ultimately about offsetting moving costs and countering concerns over the cost of living for experienced recruits. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
A record number of invasive strep A infections have been recorded in Canada, especially in children under the age of 15 recently. The Public Health Agency logged more than 4,600 cases last year, the highest ever recorded. Strep A infections are usually mild and cause strep throat, which can be treated with antibiotics, but more severe and invasive infections are less common, but can be deadly. Public Health says 6 children have died in Ontario since October.
It has a variations in terms of how it could present. Sometimes it can present with a sore throat or an ear infection or skin infection, and this is where we're seeing a lot of, unfortunately, in the intensive care unit. And the concern is that it can be rapidly progressive and life-threatening.
Doctors are urging anyone with signs and symptoms of strep throat to seek medical attention as soon as possible. Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast is set to see some clear conditions at a low at -3 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area is likely to have a few clouds and a lower low of -10 degrees. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District will have a few clouds of their own and their low all the way down at -25 degrees. On the North Coast, the next week or so should pretty much see all clouds and rain, as well as the high moving between 0 and 6 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the forecast for their next week should consist of almost solely of snow, with their high bouncing from -7 to 1 degree. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, their upcoming week begins with sun, but then goes into flurries and snow, and their high moves from -16 to -4 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is slippery sections, utility work, and electrical maintenance, plus the Usk Ferry is out of service, and the cable car is in effect. Highway 35 and 118 have some slippery sections too. Highway 37 has slippery sections too, while also having avalanche control as well as some maintenance of their own. 37A has bridge maintenance and utility work, some more slippery sections on the Dishka Highway, and the Telegraph Creek Road has slippery sections with compact ice. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region for the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come is a look at privacy battles of filming in public gyms. Welcome back. Trips to the grocery store are getting more expensive, especially after Canada's largest supermarket chain confirmed that it's cutting its 50% discounts on items near expiration, but the cost of some items is getting easier to digest. CTV's Creason Ajakote goes through the shopping list.
No matter where you go, shoppers are reluctantly accepting the price or walking away entirely.
I came in for a melon, preferably a watermelon. I found a mini and took it up to the cash, and it was $6.99, so I left it there.
As a father with 3 kids and a family of 5, the grocery bill is the biggest bill I have in my monthly bills.
And those costly groceries are expected to stick around. According to Stats Canada's latest consumer price index, overall food prices rose to 4.7% in December. More specifically, Canadians are paying more for fruit juice, while fruit and packaged fruit, cookies and crackers, vegetables and beef are also up. The price for edible fats and oils did drop slightly, but is still high. The price of gas, shipping, and rent increases are just some of the reasons food prices are up.
A lot of products related to fruits and vegetables go up. Mainly it's because of droughts, problems with floods, production problems across North America. We're paying for it now.
Lettuce and tomatoes are seeing the most significant decrease, while eggs, bananas, and cheese have gone down as well. Compounding the issue, Loblaws has recently decided to end its 50% discount on marked down food items to 30%, leaving seniors who rely on the savings with an even bigger struggle.
Often it's fresh food, and that's our most nutritious food. So it's quite disappointing to hear that that it's not going to be as affordable to folks that need it.
And for those considering to change their protein intake from meat to dry beans and lentils, experts say those too have gone up by 25% in the last 4 years. Chris Nachkate, CTV News, Halifax.
Many people enjoy documenting their fitness journeys on camera, but other gym goers may not be so keen to be filmed. CTV's Sean Leothog has more on the battle over gym etiquette on social media.
The gym floor is a shared space. Like here at Vive Fitness, working out in close proximity calls for etiquette. But an emerging trend, people filming their own workouts, is creating new questions around what's right and what's wrong.
I've seen it a lot on TikTok specifically. A lot of influencers kind of find themselves documenting themselves to post it as content.
As fitness influencers and others document their work, where and what is filmed can lead to confrontation, like this at a Good Life Fitness in Calgary last fall.
You're not going to be in the background.
People are using their cell phones and tripods, and they're taking advantage of all the new technology that makes filming so practical and professional.
Paul Andini is a personal trainer and fitness columnist. He says as filming is becoming more common, more videos are being posted featuring people who have not agreed to be on camera and featured in a negative light.
They start making fun of people. They start picking apart other people's technique. They start picking apart their appearances.
Influencers showing frustration when someone walks through their shot, or trying to shame a person who asked not to be filmed in the locker room.
He has every right to ask you to not film in the locker room.
Influencer Joey Swoll has been dedicating his time to establishing etiquette and calling out videos that aim to shame.
Did you ever stop to think how he would feel if he saw this video or the comments?
Aya Kinsey says she doesn't mind if someone's filming at the gym.
It can kind of be like a little invasion of privacy.
We contacted Good Life, who said in a statement, Good Life has a long-standing policy that allows people to take photos and videos in the common areas of the club. But it has to be done in a way that protects the experience, privacy, and dignity of other people in the club.
Cell phones, smartphones, social media, this stuff isn't going away. We need to learn how to live with it in a civilized manner.
Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump is back in court today as the civil defamation trial against him resumes. It comes as the Republican candidates hit the ground in New Hampshire after Trump's win in Iowa. ABC's Rachel Scott has the latest.
Overnight, Donald Trump going straight from a Manhattan courtroom to the campaign trail, touching down in the Granite State for a rally.
Get out and vote and make sure we win by big margins. The bigger the margin, the bigger the mandate that we have, the stronger we're going to be.
The former president, fresh off his resounding victory in the Iowa caucuses, going after his biggest opponent in the New Hampshire primary, Nikki Haley.
I worked with her for a long time, and she was okay, not great. She was not great. She's not tough enough to deal with these people. I will tell you that. She's not tough enough.
Polls show Haley trailing Trump by single digits. Dave Sweeney, a retired tech worker from Atkinson, said he's torn between Trump and Haley.
What can Trump say today to win you over?
Well, if he stops obsessing with the past and starts laying out a vision for the future for this country.
Haley is betting big on this state after a disappointing third-place finish in Iowa.
We came out strong. Now we want to finish New Hampshire and come out even stronger.
The former South Carolina governor, who faced criticism for failing to mention the word slavery when asked about the cause of the Civil War, rejecting the suggestion that being a woman of color may hurt her chances of becoming the nominee.
We're not a racist country. We've never been a racist country. Our goal is to make sure that today is better than yesterday.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis edged out Haley in the caucuses, heading directly to her home state of South Carolina, before appearing in a town hall in New Hampshire, making his case to voters.
She does not have the ability to build the type of coalition that you need to win a Republican primary, period, much less take on Donald Trump.
And now we turn our attention to the stock markets. The Canadian dollar is down 0.22 cents. The price of gold is down $23.70. Oil is down 4 cents, natural gas is down 3 cents, aluminum is up $9.50. In Toronto, the TSX is down 253.07 points. The Venture Index is down 4.26. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 94.45, and the Nasdaq is down 88.73. Still ahead is a report on the issues of extreme cold in much of Canada. Welcome back. As the South Coast deals with snow, freezing cold remains an issue in other parts of Canada. In North Alberta, extreme cold continues to be a problem, with daily lows expected to drop to -40 through the rest of the week. But there's also snowfall warnings calling for up to 35 centimeters near Calgary. Extreme cold is also forecast for southern Ontario, with the wind chill making it around -30 in some areas. A new report said the average asking price in December for a Canadian rental unit jumped 8.6% to hit a record-setting $2,178. The data from rental.ca and Urbanation says the monthly average cost of a one-bedroom unit in December was $1,932, up 12.7% from the same month last year. BC remains the most expensive province for apartment by renting, with an average of $2,500 despite a 1.4% annual decrease. The report stated Canada's rental market will keep being undersupplied in 2024, but rent growth is expected to be closer to the 5-year average of approximately 5% or so. That's all our news for now. From everyone at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. Thanks for watching.